In the realm of online romance, few stories tug at the heartstrings quite like those involving military service members. The image of a brave soldier, deployed far from home and longing for love, is a narrative that resonates deeply with many individuals seeking companionship and connection. Unfortunately, this idealized portrayal has also become a tool for deception in the hands of unscrupulous fraudsters. Military romance scammers prey on the emotions of unsuspecting victims, weaving elaborate tales of love and devotion to manipulate their targets for financial gain. In this article, we'll explore some of the common tactics employed by these deceitful individuals and provide insights into how to recognize and avoid falling victim to their schemes. 1. Impersonation of military personnel. One of the primary tactics used by military romance scammers is the impersonation of active duty service members. Scammers often create fake profiles using stolen photos and personal information of real soldiers, portraying themselves as heroic individuals serving their country overseas. They may claim to be deployed in combat zones or stationed on peacekeeping missions, using their purported military status to garner sympathy and trust from their victims. 2. Emotional manipulation. Military romance scammers are adept at exploiting the vulnerabilities of their targets through emotional manipulation. They use flattering language and romantic gestures to quickly establish a sense of intimacy and connection. They may profess their love and devotion at an alarming rate, promising a future together despite never having met in person. By preying on their victims' desire for companionship and affection, scammers create a false sense of trust and reliance that makes it easier to solicit money and other forms of assistance. 3. Fabricated hardship stories. To further manipulate their victims, military romance scammers often concoct elaborate hardship stories designed to evoke sympathy and compassion. They may claim to have encountered financial difficulties due to their deployment, such as unpaid bills, medical emergencies, or the need to purchase expensive equipment. These stories are carefully crafted to tug at the heartstrings of their targets and justify their requests for financial assistance. 4. Requests for money and gifts. Once they've gained their victims' trust, military romance scammers typically begin soliciting money and gifts under various pretexts. They may ask for funds to cover supposed emergency expenses, such as medical bills or travel costs to return home on leave. Alternatively, they may request expensive items such as electronics or luxury goods, claiming that they are unable to purchase them due to their military service. These requests often escalate over time, with scammers becoming increasingly bold in their demands as they continue to manipulate their victims. 5. Use of stolen identities. In addition to impersonating military personnel, some romance scammers go a step further by using stolen identities to perpetrate their schemes. They may create elaborate backstories complete with fake identification documents and forged military records to lend credibility to their false personas. By assuming the identity of a real service member, scammers not only deceive their victims but also dishonor the sacrifices made by those who serve in the armed forces. 6. Isolation from family and friends. To maintain control over their victims, military romance scammers often seek to isolate them from their support networks. They may discourage their targets from confiding in family and friends, claiming that their relationship is too special or private to share with others. By fostering a sense of exclusivity and secrecy, scammers make it more difficult for their victims to seek advice or assistance from those who might recognize the signs of deception. 7. Threats and intimidation. In some cases, military romance scammers may resort to threats and intimidation to coerce their victims into compliance. They may use emotional manipulation tactics, such as guilt-tripping or gaslighting, to exert control over their targets and discourage them from questioning their motives. In extreme cases, scammers may threaten physical harm or blackmail if their victims refuse to comply with their demands, exploiting their fear and vulnerability for their own gain. 8. Long-distance relationships. One of the hallmarks of military romance scams is the perpetuation of long-distance relationships. Scammers often claim to be stationed overseas or deployed to remote locations, making it difficult or impossible for their victims to verify their whereabouts. This geographical distance serves to reinforce the sense of isolation and dependence felt by their targets, making them more susceptible to manipulation and exploitation. Conclusion. Military romance scams represent a particularly insidious form of online fraud, exploiting the trust and vulnerability of those looking for love.